Welcome to the Hurry Up. I know I just made a video, but it's official. Joe Schoen is the Giants GM. Let's get into it. This is a new era, new dawning of a new day for Giant football. First, they get the GM that they want. They did the search the right way. I know there was a ton of discussion between keeping the coach and the GM and how to do this and how to do that. They did the right way. They brought in a guy that the entire NFL seems to like. The last two guys, Peters and Schoen. I know I made a video that they could possibly take Peters because they liked him, but Schoen was the guy from Jump. He probably was hired a few days ago, but they had to do their due diligence, interview people, and make sure that they did their due diligence and followed up with these guys. But Joe Schoen is the GM. I'm looking forward to this. He was a guy I liked. He's been a scout, an area scout with Carolina. He was a senior scout for Miami. He ended up being the director of player personnel with Miami, which means which is good because he built a team. He was there. He was in the scouting department. He has a background in doing that, and then he eventually took the job as assistant general manager of the Buffalo Bills. Now he probably worked hand in hand with Brandon Beane, excuse me, and helped build that team. So this is good news for the Giants because you're getting a guy from a winning program. You're getting a guy that has been in the trenches in terms of the scouting, will have an understanding of how players look and feel like and what you're looking for, the interactions. Like I said, go watch the video of him when he went to Buffalo, the college, and he was asking about the players there. I think this guy is young enough where he's going to go out to certain areas. Not that Dave Gettleman didn't do that, but Dave Gettleman did have some health problems. He was a little older, taking those flights, and doing all that work. And Joe Schoen's in his mid 40s, young guy still. I think he's going to lead this team in the right direction. A couple of the coaches are already being lined up. So this is an exciting day, exciting times. The first outside hire for the New York Giants as a GM since George Young came in. Remember, Roger Goodell, Pete Rozelle, the commissioner at the time, put a GM in place with the Giants or helped push a GM in the place for the Giants to kind of get their ducks in a row. And then it was GM George Young. Then it went to Ernie Accorsi. Obviously, Ernie Accorsi led to Jerry Reeves. Jerry Reeves got fired. They did the half-assed GM search, and they got Dave Gettleman, who happened to be one of Ernie Accorsi's, picks. It was Jerry Reeves and Ernie Accorsi. So you see the pattern here. So Joe Schoen breaks that mold. Let's see what now the Giants are going to do because obviously the ownership group is trusting Joe Schoen. We're hearing a lot about Brian Daboll being one of the first coaches that they look into. I heard that Brian Flores wants the job. I mean, now who wouldn't? I think, and this is people aren't going to like this, but I think the firing of Joe Judge helped open this door to this new beginning. And, I understand people didn't want it or it wasn't the orthodox way of doing things. And I'm not trying to gloat or say anything like that. All I'm saying is that Joe Schoen brings a new set of eyes, a new direction, has no affiliation with the Giants, has no affiliation whatsoever with anybody associated with the Giants, really. And I think that this is the direction you want to see this team go. Let's see what coach he brings in. Don't just assume that it was going to be Daboll as the coach because the ownership probably will have a final say on who they're really interested in, and if they deem that they like Flores over Daboll, it could be Flores. If they deem it's Quinn over Daboll, I think they want to go with a guy with experience. But the two guys that we like are Daboll and Flores, and it's just a matter of who you think is. If you're going to keep Daniel Jones, how that coach and GM are going to rebuild this team because they're going to rebuild it. Daniel Jones may be here next year, but he may not be the guy that this coach wants. Enough with inheriting players and trying to make them your own. It's time to go get your guys. This is the chance to build it. I know a lot of people are like, well, they just drafted all these players. Look, they're going to go through the roster. They're going to comb through it. Giants have a lot of guys leaving. They're going to comb, like I said, they're going to go through the roster. They're going to look at the notes. They're going to compare the notes. They're going to say, is this a guy that fits the system? Because remember, when the coach comes in, he's going to run a system. Will these particular players fit that system? Will these particular players fit that system? And that's what they're going to go through. You can't just force a QB or force a player on there that may not fit. Like Lorenzo Carter, for example. I'm just going to use him just he came to mind. He's an outside linebacker in a 3-4, but he's a Sam linebacker in a 4-3. See how that dynamic changes? He goes from rushing the passer to now dropping back into coverage and eventually blitzing at some points. So that changes the whole dynamic. A guy like Leonard Williams, right? If you're running a 4-3, he's going to be a regular D tackle, not a D end. So now you're back to changing up those positions, right? So we're going to see who brings in who and what they do. I mean, if you look at Buffalo's defense, I would take a look if you get a chance as a Giant fan, study the Buffalo team this week, because that could be what you're looking at. And also look at Miami team as well. If you can look at Miami highlights and cut-ups, I would do that as well, because you'll get an idea of how Flores runs things, and offensively how Daboll runs things, and defensively how they run, which may also be a part of the game, the package deal. But guys, a GM is in place. Get excited. This is a new era of Giant football. Optimism all around. Great job, Giants. Let's go.